You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. In most Colorado counties, the county, and most specifically the Department of Public Health, usually requires, if the property has a septic tank and a septic system on the property, then they typically require the septic system to be drained completely, inspected by a county official, and if there are any repairs or concerns with the unit, that it be repaired prior to the sale and transfer of that property, because every septic tank has a permit attached to it. And so in order to transfer that permit and title to the new owner, they require that it's drained, inspected, and transferred in good condition. And there are exceptions to that, but for the most part, that has been a requirement. Well, the county board for El Paso came together, I believe it was last month, and, it was in May, and they voted against that mandatory inspection in order to transfer title upon sale of a property. So what this means for sellers and for buyers is that since it is no longer mandated, before we did not necessarily have to write that into a contract. If I was representing a buyer, we would not have to write that into a contract because that was already an expectation and a requirement in order to transfer that property. And so now it is something that the buyers are going to have to take upon themselves and request in their offer for the sellers to complete that, or they will have to do it themselves before the sale of that property. So this could, these types of inspections typically can take a little bit longer than a general inspection, and can cost a little bit more. And so again, it depends on the location and the contractor and all that kind of stuff, and if there's anything wrong with it. But this is good information to know. If you are purchasing a property, any kind of property on land, and I've seen septic tanks on, as small as like a 1/3 acre. So, it's very possible that you can have septic tanks in the city proper, as well as out, in the mountainous areas or in the flat areas. So if you are looking at purchasing a property and you know that it's going to have a septic tank, make sure that when you're writing that offer, you are putting something about that inspection in there, or expect to have to do it yourself. Same thing with sellers. I highly recommend that you just do your due diligence and get it out of the way, if you know you're going to be selling your property. But again, just know that this is no longer a requirement to transfer that title. So, things are changing. And this is only for El Paso County. So if you're in another county in Colorado, then more than likely those requirements still stand. But talk to your realtor and find out what's current and important in your neighborhood. So have a great day.